What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another Bucks on Deck podcast episode. I'm Anthony Murphy. With me, as always, Nola Jeffy. Nola, what's going on, man? How's it going?
Another day in paradise, but with a extra long weekend.
Yeah. Nice recording on the holiday. Hope everyone had a good, nice long weekend. We don't do the video ones anymore because they take too long for me to upload where I'm at. But if we did, you'd probably notice that the background is different for me. I'm recording from Greensboro. I'll be checking out the last week of the regular season for the Grasshoppers. So looking forward to that. I slept pretty much the entire way to Greensboro, so it was a nice easy trip for me. um, but we got some. Speaking of Greensboro, I'll go and start diving right in. I don't think it was an area of strength that we were kind of predicting from them, especially since some of the guys were newer. But the pitching staff has been really good as of late, and it's really been some late season additions that they've gotten um, that we wanted to talk about tonight. I guess the big one first was Carlson Reed having himself quite the run there. Um,
Cousins killing it.
yeah, he's got. I'm looking forward. Like I got to see him in Bradenton, and he had a pretty good game down in Bradenton. But obviously, he's like pitching at a completely different level right now. Ever since he kind of made that jump up. So, what have your thoughts been with Reed so far with Greensboro?
I just, I guess more than anything, I guess it was kind of surprising in a sense, just that. I mean, he pitched well in Bradenton. He looked like a guy that could develop well as he moved along, but
Mm-hmm.
he got to Greensboro and like took it to a whole nother level. And then this past start, was air quotes a bad one, and just in that he gave up a run, even
Yeah,
though through 6 no-hit innings. That came with 6 Ks, but he's been dominating high so far through 24.2 innings.
yeah, something like that. I know you brought this up too, and I guess I can have you elaborate on it more. And you kind of tossed out the idea in the group chat the other days, like do you think that there's a possibility they just okay, well that's enough of high A for you, and maybe he just starts next year in the Double A rotation?
Yeah, I mean that's what I was kind of thinking. I mean, he's got at least probably at least 2 more starts. You figure a start this week. Um, I don't know what day it would come on, but then you got the playoffs, and I'd have to imagine there's a good chance he gets one of those games.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be talking, a 30-ish inning showcase in high A, and I mean, again, he's been just absolutely dominating in high A. So it feels like with a full off season, um, however he progresses, whatever. I mean, he's thrown over 100 innings already, so he's kind of built up for a full Double A season. To add on another 20, 30 innings, like the way he's pitched, I mean, I think there's a very good case to just push him straight to Double A next year.
Yeah, and I think the biggest key with him was always going to be if you can control the fastball and stuff like that, because like the slider and the changeup are like incredible. They're some of the better pitches in the entire system and stuff like that. But it was really like the fastball that kind of seemed to hold him back at times in Bradenton, and that's starting to kind of click a little bit more in Greensboro, and this is where you're seeing success. I looked at it the other day. I think he just crossed 100 innings in that last start. So I think he's like 102, 103, something like that total. He gets
Yeah.
another start this week. So he gets another start this week. That put him at like 108, right under 110 probably. Another start we'd have to imagine in the playoffs. That put him 112, 113-ish. And then if they make the finals he gets another start, there's a chance he can push like the 120 envelope by it's all said and done. And considering that he was a full-time reliever last year in West Virginia, pretty impressive. And also a guy that had very, very noticeable control concerns or well-documented control issues too, for him to be able to get that under control to push the envelope of 120 innings in his first full year as a starter. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, which is even you just saying that now would kind of just sparked the whole interesting because we're always theorizing about the whole limiting pitches, innings as they're developing pitchers, and it feels like they just kind of were like, nah, as long as you're healthy and good to roll, keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, yeah, I'd have to look at how many he threw last year. It might have been 60 in total.
Yeah. And he especially more so since he's been in Greensboro, obviously, but he's been very efficient with those innings too. So it's not like it's not a lot of high stress
Well, that's it. And
innings and
he,
stuff. So
yeah, and he, which actually, shit, actually looks like it was a lot less than I thought. 15, like 50, well, not a lot less, but 53 innings in 2023 between West Virginia and Draft League, the summer league, and then a couple appearances with FCL. 53 total. But yeah, it seems like they're just like, as long as you feel healthy and good, then keep rolling with it. And then, because I know he was actually on Baseball America, one of their reports. Really, I think was it the standout article. I think,
yeah,
possibly.
he was on a couple. He was on like the hot sheet and then like another like standout article or something like that too.
And I think they mentioned like 2 different shaped fastballs on top of, and one of the big things they said was, he needs to prove that he can, continue to pitch longer in games. And I mean, it's already very positive signs that, again, coming off a full year where you threw 53 innings total, he's already surpassed 100, could be pushing 110 by the end of the year. I mean, that's a big step. And he's already, as we said, it's like he went to Greensboro and his stuff took another step on top of it.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like makes you kind of think of a little bit of Thomas Harrington when Harrington made that jump last year too. This stuff was playing like a certain way in Bradenton, and then he gets to Greensboro and just kind of kicks into the high gear. And you mentioned like the 2 different shapes on the fastball, kind of like how Harrington was too. So good to see. I mean, we talk about it all the time, the Pirates pitching factory and whatnot. And like I mentioned it before, like it's a lot of the attention was turned to like Patrick Riley and stuff like that. But really this whole time it looks like it was like Carlson Reed, the guy that they were really crunching things with. So
yeah, and then going from there, from a guy whose stuff took a step and kind of wowed us, Garrett McMillan kind of really came out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's been he was kind of a single A college reliever, like okay, whatever. He gets the call up to Greensboro and he's been lights out since then. I think he's allowed like 1 earned run or like a couple earned runs or something like that, and
three runs and only 1 earned.
Yeah, so he's been really good. Pitching factory, right?
Right. That's what. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think the minimal velo readings they mentioned on the broadcast was like 93, 94, but it was one of his fastballs that just really played well up in the zone, and he was blowing through the Bowling Green roster, which you're going to get to see this week. Although, slightly, I don't want to say depleted, but my boy Trey Morgan got promoted and some other guys. So, but it's
I was
a very good roster. Yeah, they could meet up again next week in playoffs. So,
yeah. But McMillan was another guy. Like watching him in Bradenton, nothing ever stood out. I don't think anything. Like he gets a lot of induced vertical break on his fastball, but it was coming from like a higher arm slot too. So like the approach angle, I don't think was anything to write home about. Outside of that, it's like nothing really stood out. And then all of a sudden, like you said, the fastball was playing a lot better up in the zone and facing higher quality hitters in a very hitter friendly ballpark. And it's just been lights out from the get go.
Yeah, the breaking balls looked fantastic and a bunch of whiffs on it. Like he was like a top. Generally, when he pitches, he's atop the high swing and miss leaderboards.
Yeah,
Even when
yeah,
he was
he
pitching
had
3 innings out of the pen.
yeah, he one of those games where he had 3 innings, but he still like reached like double digit whiffs, I think, right?
Yeah, it was like 17 whiffs in 3 innings or something like that.
That's insane. It's an insane amount of whiffs. Did you want to talk about Kennedy too with it? Kennedy, another guy that they got there. He made his high A debut. Did you get a chance to see any of it?
No, then was busy, but I scouted the box score afterwards. I'll say I think he only had like 6 whiffs. I think 6 swings and misses.
Yeah, it wasn't much. But like it was a slow start. I think he gave up like a couple hits and a walk in the first inning, and he really calmed down and started mixing the pitches well and stuff like that. Of course, he's in high A now, so we're not going to get any pitch data, and also we're not going to get much velocity readings. But like at this point, we're fairly familiar with his game and stuff like that. I'm hoping that they've been kind of running close to like a 6-man rotation in Greensboro as of late. So I don't know if that means he's going to pitch on Sunday again. That'd be unfortunate because I'm not going to be around for the Sunday game. I'd like to see him again, but at this point, we kind of know what Kennedy is. It's a good story. He's still just 19. Made it up to high A. He'll be 19 until I think he's like a November, December birthday. So very encouraging, especially too because you think about last year. There's a lot of issues with like the walks and stuff like that, and he's really cut that back this year. I think his walk rate's like in between 5% and 6%, something like that. So big giant step forward for. I mean, you could still make a case him being a teenager that like if he still struggled with it a bit with this year, that I mean, I don't think anyone would panic too much. So
Yeah.
for him to take that big of a step was pretty impressive to see.
Yeah. In which, I mean, obviously we don't have like numbers for like extended spring training or like bridge league, not bridge league,
Yeah.
but like a complex league, or I guess bridge league and stuff like that. But I mean, he's even 30 innings over what he pitched last year. So
Yeah, so he's getting up there. So it's good that they're being aggressive, and like how you said with like Reed, they're trusting the players, I guess, to let them know or yeah. So, but yeah, it was Greensboro. Obviously, you don't think pitching when you think Greensboro, and that didn't seem like it was going to be a strength. And then all of a sudden now, like we're getting what is it? They had back-to-back games where a pitcher had double-digit strikeouts, and like you brought up McMillan and
well, that's what I mean. Because earlier in the year, I mean, yeah, we were surprised because it was pitching, especially after everyone kind of cooled off. Like Lonnie after his like real hot week and a half got injured.
Yeah.
But in the beginning of the season, yeah, Dotel or Kalani, like it was a lot of pitching talk earlier in the year, and then it kind of flattened out. But it's with some of these recent promotions, it's now the top item to talk about, especially with Greensboro.
Yeah. And obviously, right now, like Indianapolis probably has like the best of the starting pitching prospects there, but you look at like the next tier of prospects they have throughout the system, and quite the collection they got there in Greensboro, and they're kind of showing it. And it'll be interesting to see how the playoffs go. Be interesting solely just to see how they kind of manage everyone's innings too at that point, because now you're going further than where you expected or probably where you planned out to the most part. And they've had like the entire second half of the season to kind of plan how they're going to work the innings and stuff like that since they clinched a playoff spot in the first half. But it'll be still be interesting to see how they execute it and stuff like that.
They just need our boy Alessandro Urcolani to carry him to the chip.
I mean, that dude's been lights out since they moved him into the bullpen. Lights out. So, and like we say, move to the bullpen too, but he's still pitching 3-4 innings at a time. So it's not like he's straight reliever.
He's gone 4 innings twice this month. So
yeah. So yeah, but interesting stuff in Greensboro. Did you have anyone else or anything else you wanted to touch on with that, or do you want to move on to the next thing?
We could probably move on because we touched on probably the four biggest names, and then Magdale Cotto has been okay. I haven't really caught too much of him in Greensboro yet, but
I think he had like one game that was pretty good. It was weird too because like I looked up the numbers and stuff like that, and the fastball was putting up some pretty interesting numbers in Bradenton. And then I kind of looked at like the shape and the characteristics and stuff like that, and then it was one of those things like, well, I have no clue how he's doing what he's doing because the characteristics weren't great. He doesn't throw hard, but yet he was getting like a whole bunch of whiffs with it and getting outs with it. So
but it seems like sometimes he's 93, 94, then other times he's like 91, 92. It's so
yeah. So he's an interesting guy to kind of watch and stuff like that. Yeah. But the next thing we wanted to bring up, I don't think we talked about it we didn't talk about it last time, but I think we wanted to give it time to stew. I don't know if this happened in between our last show or not, but the Pirates, I think it happened in between, right?
Right. Yeah.
The Pirates made some changes in the Latin American part of the system. Junior Vizcaino, Luis Rio, both not coming back with the team, dismissed, the contract not renewed. I don't know what the wording for it was exactly, but they're going to be looking for new people up there. That brought a lot of conversation into the mix because obviously of the lack of success when it comes to like Latin America and stuff like that. And I know, Nola, you got pretty in depth and you got pretty heated, and it branched out with some stuff as well. So I kind of let you take charge on this. What were your overall thoughts of when the news and that kind of stuff came out?
Yeah, I guess mostly for me, and this is, I'm going to kind of lead into something else here eventually.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It feels like it's one of those like mirage kind of letting go. I don't want to say firing because they're just not renewing his contract, but it feels like, I mean, maybe it's the first step and more steps to come. If it's not, then it really means nothing to me. Because he's been here from 2017, I think it was, and it doesn't really, I think, get to the core issue that they've had in developing. Because I mean, yeah, Ben Charrington was kind of talking about how there's a lot of scouting and watching these kids develop and picking the right players, signing the right players. And I mean, we could toss out some names just in general on the international side. But when you also take it in context with how well they've done, stateside with the Rule 4 first-year player draft, can we say it's just because that he's been getting bad players? I mean, they've had very talented, interesting players, but I mean, Urkelani, Dotel are both looking promising on the pitching side. Peralta, which I don't think Peralta was one of his, but Peralta's in the majors. It's hard to say that you can pinpoint it to he's not picking or not signing the best international players when your stateside guys aren't exactly proving their worth as well.
Yeah. So I look at it this way because I'm just going to look straight at his title. The official title says Director of International Scouting. So if his job is just to scout the players and pass the information and get them signed and into the system, I've not seen, to an extent, too much of an issue. I mean, Shalin Polanco, very highly touted guy in his signing class. Yordani De Los Santos, very highly touted guy in his class. Tony Blanco Jr., very highly rated guy.
Which and
they've
they
had some
basically stole Blanco too, didn't they?
pretty much, yeah, yeah. So like they've signed notable players. It's something that it's when they get these guys into the system and whatever like the development process and stuff like that. That's where the disconnect's coming from on there. Like
Yeah,
he like here's Charlene Polanco. This guy is incredibly tooled up. He has power, speed. He's an incredible defender. Here here's your five tool, you know, Latin American guy. Boom. All you have to do is just teach him to hit a little bit better. And then now we're on year 2 of him swinging at sliders in the opposing batter's box 3 times in a row. I mean,
yeah,
that's that. I mean, that's not. I don't feel like if I'm on his side, I'm like, well, I mean, he was clearly talented. He was one of the top rated, you know, international players in his signing period, and you know, we gave him a multi-million. Like we did things on our end. Like, why aren't you showing him how to hit? Why is he still doing the same stuff over and over again? Like, I don't think that's as much on the scouting side of things as it is the actual development and the coaching side. That's just me. Now if there's more responsibilities added onto that, as in like, yeah, he's supposed to be showing these guys how to do that kind of stuff, and you know they're responsible for that kind of stuff down there in the Dominican, then yeah. But this just kind of feels like I'm trying to keep my job, so I'm gonna show that I'm trying to do something. You know, I'm doing something to keep my job. A shakeup doesn't hurt, especially like I mean, it's well known and there's been facts stated that yeah, there's not much coming through the Dominican or the Latin America system pipeline and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe a fresh set of eyes to sign some different players and maybe mix it up and kind of things doesn't hurt, but that still doesn't fix anything on stateside when it comes to the development process.
yeah. Because I mean, you look at some of the guys they currently have. I mean, there's still some Esmeralda Valdez, Miguel Sosa. I mean, like they look interesting. It's
Yeah,
just how are they going to develop them further? Because again, you know, we look stateside. We look at a Lonnie White or Tamar Johnson. Tamar Johnson specifically, someone that was as highly rated as he was, the top 5 pick in the draft, who just his contact disappears. Like his end zone contact is just abysmal all of a sudden, and it's
yeah.
like, in you know, tomato, tomato, potato, potato, and it's just like
Mm-hmm.
if we're seeing the same issues, we're seeing the same issues stateside as we're seeing international side. Is he really the problem?
Yeah, and maybe I guess to an extent, like yeah, there isn't enough guys coming up through Latin America per se that you can make a case that yeah, sure, let's move on and stuff like that. But again, I don't think this really does anything. You can put anyone down there right now, and I think unless something is shored up on the state side of things, I don't think anything changes at this point, even with this kind of move.
I don't really either. Which an interesting name I just looked up as we were talking. I don't think it was. Wait, when did he sign?
I'm trying to see if I can find.
Well, I guess it depends on when he came to an agreement. But I was just looking up Rodolfo Nolasco, and he actually had a pretty. I mean, he's 22, turning 23 soon. But I mean, he has a near 750 OPS and high A. When he was with Bradenton and he had or not Bradenton, but when he was with Greensboro earlier in the year, I mean, it was not pretty.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. It was bad. I'm trying to find
which I'm also kind of curious too. Like how much is he attributed for say like Suero or Severino? I even thought about that. Like I wonder how much of their acquisition is attributed to him because I mean, you look at those two guys and it's kind of like I mean,
they would have had to
very talented.
like, yeah. So like Ben Charrington isn't going to just be like, he's just not going to trade like Carlos Santana and just like, okay, we'll toss a name into the Dominican hat and we're just going to grab someone. He's obviously going to ask the guys down there. I'm like, hey, who are some, like, we're making this trade with the Brewers. Who are some names that I need that I need to grab? And they're obviously the ones that probably be like, well, grab Sever. And I feel like something came out the saying that like the Pirates like pursued him like pretty aggressively too during like and they just obviously he went with the Brewers instead. So like,
right.
If that was the case, like they're going to it. If we know how like the Dominican stuff works, like there's so many like back alley agreements and stuff like that. It's not as just simple as you go to the table with the guy and say we'll give you X amount of dollars. If the player knows somebody in that system or something like that, or they've been working with a scout specifically for years and years and years, you probably don't have much of a chance to sign them, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I also want to know like Yordano De Los Santos, who again is a very highly touted prospect. Mm-hmm. Like, how is it now the second year in a row he obliterates Complex League, and it's like, wow, this kid looks legit. Then he gets to Bradenton, and I mean, he's been better, at least in terms of he's doesn't have the same strikeout numbers he had his first tour last year, but I mean, he's facing a lot of same players he would face in Complex League. It's not that huge of a jump, and he's just it's almost like a completely different player almost.
And when you think about it too, he's probably facing a lot of some of the same exact players that he was playing in the complex, just because the season ended early, so all the teams are sending a lot of their players up to single A. So he's probably, for whatever reason, now he's facing probably some of those same players he faced in the complex, and it's just nothing. There's no adjustments being made. It's he's striking out a lot less, which is good, but he's not impacting the ball very hard again. And I remember that thing with the Fangraphs last year where like Longenhagen was talking about like he broke like the scouting whatever for barrel rate and whatnot. Like it would have rated higher than an 80 grade when adjusted for like his age. Like we haven't seen any of that.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think that's the talent's obviously there. We've seen him play in the complex. Like I saw him in person. Like he's clearly a talented person. So I don't feel like that's as much onto the scout. That's not on the scouting people, and they did their jobs there in identifying and getting him signed. It's the people like teaching him how to hit, supposed to showing him how to adjust to pitching here in full season ball, and it's just not being done.
Yeah. Which, and is something I keep always referring back to is Lance Bronzikowski mentioning in the one hitter overview he did, and just talk about how the Pirates. I mean, they swing hard, they barrel, nice exit velocities. It's just their in zone contact is a mess, and that's not that's organizational wide, and we see it in the pros too. Like it's a big issue.
It is, and it's not. I say, but this I guess maybe putting final touches on it. It's not the issue is very clearly not identifying talent. They can very much identify talent. It's clear because we see it in spurts. Like I couldn't find they don't have a bonus given for Valdez, but like I mean this is a guy who at 20 years old is one home run away from 20 in single A in the Florida State League. Hitting 20 home runs in the Florida State League is not easy to do.
Yeah.
But like the guy is also striking out 35% of the time.
Yeah.
So how well is that going to translate? Not well.
Yeah. And my final touches will be, I mean, just look at their two biggest acquisitions at the deadline: Brian De La Cruz and Connor Falefa. Both of their walk rates, already low walk rates, are worse, and their K rates have skyrocketed. Like Falefa was having the best season of his career, and he's been so bad since he came to Pittsburgh that his season numbers are almost down to his career numbers. Like he's been that bad.
Yeah.
Where they have plummeted. And I think Brian De La Cruz is like an almost -1 WAR player now. He's been so bad. And this is, the I always think about the Kyrie Madison interview, and it's like, this is not me saying like, talking trash on the players themselves. It's like there's something there.
Yeah.
That they're big league players, but they come to Pittsburgh and the Pittsburgh gets the worst version of out of them.
This always makes me think. This makes me think of like something, and I'm saying, and like fully aware now that like I'm grown up now, and this is the reason why like my bosses, when I worked at Walmart, this is why my bosses didn't like me, but they used to go through like so many different supervisors, and it was always like, well, we don't, we keep going through them, and finally it's like, well, what's the constant in all this? What's the constant? You keep saying that like all these supervisors aren't doing well, but when do you have to look at yourself in the mirror and kind of be like, well, I'm the one that you guys are the ones that are teaching them all this stuff. Maybe there's a disconnect in the way that you're teaching it to the people that's not setting them up for proper success or not setting them up to meet your own expectations. And that's what it feels like right here, that we keep going through the same thing over and over again. We're now, like you said, we're bringing players from other organizations in, and then now all of a sudden, once they, like, we all knew Kind of Falafel's probably going to regress. Like every metric you can find says, yeah, he's going to regress. But now but like to have it happen immediately when he hits the Pirates organization feels like more than just your regular regression kind of thing.
And he wasn't even hitting. It's not even that like he was hitting for Pittsburgh, his typical like 80 WRC plus. He's been like a 40 50 WRC plus hitter for the Pirates, like worse than his career normal. But I mean, taking a step further, so you look at Henry Davis. Like, how is it that his entire development, all the way up through the system, it's like this dude can handle a fastball. He can handle heat. He can handle it up in the zone. He doesn't have a problem hitting a fastball. Gets to Pittsburgh, can't hit a fastball. Gets sent down. All of a sudden, hey, he's hitting fastballs again. Gets back up to Pittsburgh, can't hit a fastball again. Like,
yeah. It just, there comes a time to where like you can pass blame and hold people. I'm all for holding people accountable, and you can make, and if something isn't working in a particular area, then I'm all for doing something about it. And that's what they did here with Vizcaino. There's just comes a time where you have to look in the mirror too and hold yourself accountable and say, yeah, this isn't working. And
right. Which, again, send players up for success. And that also kind of, ties into the whole O'Neal Cruz moving to center field. But the greater picture of it just irritates me to no extent how they've gone about attempting to, again, air quotes, develop a shortstop.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've been saying for years, like, O'Neal Cruz probably should be moved to the outfield. Mm-hmm. Peguero, again, I kind of went on that last week about how I think he's arguably one of the most detrimental development failures, because him not working out creates a huge hole. But then they bring in Nick York, and not only they have him playing everywhere, he was a fringe second baseman. We'll even say a little above average. They have him playing shortstop. Tamar Johnson clearly shouldn't be playing shortstop. I thought maybe, hey, Cheng's in Altoona. They'll be like, all right, cool. Cheng shortstop, Tamar Johnson second baseman. Nope. They're putting Tamar Johnson at shortstop. Mitch Jebb,
His
when he was
second game.
drafted. Yeah, Mitch Jebb drafted from the get-go. Scouting reports. Fringe. If anything, put him in. He could end up a center fielder. Pirates, put him at shortstop. And it's like, no, it's ugly.
He almost has 20 errors this year. Mitch Jebb. Almost 20 errors this year. And it took him until middle of August to finally be like, okay, we're going to put you in center field. Middle of August for something to finally click and then it's not even like a everyday thing. And like, I'm okay with it not being every day because you have like Lonnie White that you want to get some playing time in center field and stuff like that. But Mitch Jebb should be out. He should be in the outfield more than he's playing the infield right now. Like it's been pretty clear with it. And like I said, middle of August. It shouldn't have taken. It took us about a week of watching him play to kind of be like, yeah, well, people saying that short center field should be an option. Yeah, that should definitely be an option.
Right, and that's I remember, because Javier Rivas is there now, and it's like he should be playing shortstop, 100%. Prior to that, they didn't really have. I mean, I guess you had Michael Escoto, but he had kind of fallen from grace just because it's his third year in Greensboro and he still isn't hitting.
Yeah.
So you could at least make an argument while Jack Brannigan's hurt that let's just kind of give other guys a shot. But even when Brannigan was healthy, they put Brannigan at third base and give Jebb and Tamar Johnson time at shortstop. And it's like, stop doing that. They shouldn't be at shortstop. I guess, yeah, sure. You probably want to get Brannigan some time at third because he can handle it.
Yeah.
No doubt. But at the same time, it's like these other two guys should not be at shortstop. You're also hurting your pitching because they got to deal with these guys that literally a dribbler. But it hits him in the palm and infield single. And it's like, no. That was an easy ground ball play.
Yeah. It's been rough. The defense has been rough. And it's because, again, they're not putting players in a position to succeed. There's that disconnect again. And I don't know. It's rough. But yeah, like you said, pitching is supposed to be like your strong suit. And the only thing you're doing is you're making them work harder. You're causing them to throw more pitches, which in turn increases the injury risk of those pitchers. Before you know it, you're down a couple guys because you're being stubborn about where you play guys. And you mentioned it. I don't know if you actually posted this on Twitter or if it was just in the group chat, but you look at someone like Travis Bazzana, who was the first overall pick. He has only played second base. They leaned into what he does good, and just went with that.
Yeah, which I'm even going to look at it now. I was curious. Granted, the Guardians are obviously better at finding legit shortstops, but a top prospect, the Pirates would be like, no, we want him to get time at shortstop. That's going to improve his value. And he's played 22 pro games, not a single inning away from second base. He's played only second base. That would never happen in Pittsburgh.
100% chance if the Pirates did draft him, at least half of those games would be at shortstop.
Yeah, Mitch Jebb played 36 games in 2023, 18 at short, 18 at second base. And somehow they still thought they should do it in 2024.
Yeah. It's crazy. That's I think that's some too, because we see it because we watch a lot of games. It's hard to pick up on it too sometimes, solely because a lot of these plays, they're not going to be errors. So a lot of people aren't going to see it show up in the box score. The only thing you kind of see is that, Parrington gave up 4 earned runs, kind of a bad start. I'm like, well, yeah, but also there have been a couple times to where this infielder should have definitely got to this ball. And because he's playing somewhere that he has no business,
I was going to
it's,
say, case in point, the York at shortstop game you were mentioning, he went back on a ball that probably either he should have got to, Sawinski's probably should have got to. It fell in. I think he gave up 2 or 3 earned runs in the first inning or something due to that.
Yep. It was so bad that like he like turned himself around and like tripped himself up because of the footwork and everything like that, because he hadn't played shortstop in years, like high school. I think it was, he said, maybe even before that. So it's like,
because he had only played second in left field with Boston. That's it.
And the left field thing was just this year. Like I think that was something that they just started incorporating. And like the infuriating part with that is you have Peguero out there, which Peguero at this point with Cruz going in center field, don't you want him to have every rep possible to kind of prove that maybe he's an option for you at short? And then, but no, let's put the guy who is a 40 grade defender at second base at shortstop, and then we'll take the shortstop and put him at second.
And not to mention, which you even talked about on Starbucks this Monday morning, Peguero's been crushing it lately, offensively. I don't know. Someone in this organization needs to do some meditation and deeper inner lookings into what's going on.
It's the ones who aren't able or unwilling to make those kind of self-evaluations and make the kind of adjustments. Those are the ones that fail like 100% of the time. And if Charrington isn't able to sit back and be like, okay, well, this clearly isn't working, and he's still doing that going into year 6, then like you might as well just pack it up, because it'll never work then at that point. So
agreed.
But
should we move on to
the
happier?
Like the weekly preview?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, starting off with the Indianapolis Indians, they actually played game 1 Monday evening for Labor Day. They stomped the Toledo Mud Hens. I think it ended up being 12-1 or something.
Yeah.
Which I hadn't seen what Columbus did, but if Columbus was losing, and I'd put the Indians 4 games back for the potential playoffs, because they keep the Indians going on a hot streak, then like lose 2 of 4, then go on a hot streak, 3-3, a hot streak. But they'll get a little reprieve this week because they're playing the Toledo Mud Hens, who've the Detroit Tigers affiliate, who've basically promoted anyone interesting to the majors. Jace Jung's up there. Torkelson had got moved up again. Trey Sweeney. I'm trying to remember the pitcher. Ty Madden got moved up.
Yeah.
So they only have Justice Bigby, Leo Lockhart, 23rd, 28th overall in the top 30 from Pipeline. But just, I guess, some interesting names: Akil Baddoo, Drew Maggi, Ryan Valade. Just names that people would recognize. Other than that, it'd just be fun to watch the Pirates' top pitching prospects shove. But now Tuna. What's that?
I was saying always good to see that.
Oh yeah. Down in Altoona, they're playing the Hartford Yard Goats. Altoona's coming off a 6-0 week, although they're already eliminated from playoff contention. But assuming there's no promotions within the Colorado organization, it's going to be a huge week. We got Chase Dollander, the Rockies' first round pick in the 2023 draft. Dale Amador, who's a top 100 prospect and actually got some big league time this year. Sean Sullivan, the guy we all wanted. He's been very dominating this year. Very dominating.
Yes, man.
So it would have been great to have a Sean Sullivan versus Sean Sullivan, but unfortunately, the Pirates' Sean Sullivan hit the full season IL or 60-day a while ago. So He ain't coming back.
No.
Then the Murphy series of the week, Greensboro is taking on the Bowling Green Hot Rods, the Tampa Bay Rays affiliate. Their top-ranked prospect is Dylan Lesko. He's only ranked 12th, but, he's an interesting guy. Very interesting.
I'm excited to see him.
Yeah. There's a lot of the guys that they acquired during the trade deadline, Jackson Ballmeister, Mac Horvath, Homer Bush. So it'll be interesting. Plus, as I think we already mentioned earlier, that it's a potential playoff matchup.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then Bradenton, who, similar to Indianapolis, kicked it off Monday night. Last I checked, wasn't going very well.
No,
they're playing
Josh Arnold was getting roughed up.
Yeah.
Pretty well.
They're playing the Daytona Tortugas, the Cincinnati Reds affiliate. Their top prospect would have been Alfredo Duno, but he's on the 60-day IL. He actually had gotten top 100 consideration. Fell off, I believe, after the injury. But Sammy Stafura, a guy we were really, really into in the 2023 draft, picked one pick after Mitch Jebb. But also, there's a Peyton Stovall, who was an interesting college bat from this past draft.
Mm-hmm. He was a big name in the 2021 draft too, as a prep guy. I remember that.
Yeah. But Sammy Stafura, man, could have had him. One pick.
Pirates would have had him playing like first base or something like that.
He'd been like a relief pitcher by now or something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
good time. So glad I get to see Stafura a little bit too, because like you said, we were pretty high on him during the draft process last year. So it'll be cool to see him. I'm excited to see some of these games here in Greensboro. Like I said, there's some interesting names there. I'm definitely going to have a damn I'm old moment, because I remember watching Homer Bush Sr. play in the majors, and now I'm going to go watch his son play in the minors. So that'll be a damn I'm old moment.
Hell yeah.
So,
but also, I mean, quick note: last week of A-ball season, so one team will be done, one will continue.
And Greensboro only continue because they're guaranteed the playoff spot too. So and I think Altoona has a week after. They'll have one more week after this week, I believe. And then and then
Triple A extends a little.
They go to like they go through till like the end of the month. So I remember like last year they played on my birthday or something like that. So, which is right at the end of the month.
Mine's in October. We're the same age for a couple weeks.
Let's go. But you have any Nola knowledge to pass along to us?
Once again, I had thought of something earlier. I was like, I need to remember this, and I didn't write it down. So no, I got nothing. Make sure to apply sunscreen when you go in the sun. There.
I learned that the hard way when I went to Bradenton. Yeah, and a hat. Wear a hat, because I burned the top of my head while I was down there. And
especially if you're like me, a baldy.
Yeah, I see. Like I'm not, and I still got burnt on the top of my head. So, wear a hat or sunscreen. It's good advice.
Yeah.
That's gonna do it for the show. Nola, where can they get you on the Bird app?
On the Bird app at Nola Jeffy, NOLAJEFFY. Things I'm working on. The preview coming out tomorrow.
Yeah. Look forward to looking that through. And you can follow me on Twitter at @double_Murphy88. Subscribe to Bucks on Deck Substack. I'm gonna have some live reporting throughout the week. Live observations, and I'll get some videos uploaded and stuff like that, like I did last year when I was here. Also, you could find me on DK Pittsburgh Sports now. Like I post on the feed some minor league updates and stuff like that. So, but thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.
Deuces.